So I'm still in Thailand, and today's post for teaching and learning is just really about teacher appraisal and evaluation and the way we think about that. I just read this book this morning, and I've read it before, but just had a quick reread, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. But meanwhile, I'll just point out I'm in a slightly dodgy hotel room in Thailand with ornaments that look like they belong in my grandparents' house, and very heavy mahogany doors and dodgy paintwork. So all around, I'm actually feeling very comfortable here. So this book here, so the argument of it is that basically teaching is complex, and there's a whole range of children in a class, and the goal is learning, and there's a whole range of different strategies going to work for different children in the class. And yet many evaluation processes basically try to prescribe a list of behaviours, like a checklist of things that you should see in teaching or in a classroom, and then on a one random or even a few random occasions those are kind of ticked off against a checklist, and then someone who is supposed to know better than the teacher themselves what will work for those children, which they don't, then kind of evaluates and tells the teacher how they're doing without actually really knowing what it feels like to teach in that classroom. So that doesn't sound that great, and it's not. So what this book suggests would be much better is kind of what we have at East at UWC SEA. So instead, a professional learning program that tries to build teachers' capacity through coaching to develop not behaviours which are low down. If you take like Diltz's nested levels of learning, kind of you have identity, values, beliefs, assumptions, capabilities, kind of mental maps and ways of thinking that determine behaviours that are filtered in a particular environment. You don't want an evaluation system that basically focuses on behaviours, because a given behaviour could work for one child but not another. Like Kruger and Denise's work on feedback, we know that feedback doesn't work 40% of the time. It diminishes performance. So there's some surprising news. So we don't want to say like you must give feedback. We want to say you must know what's helping learning and be able to adapt and accommodate for all different kinds of learners in your classroom, for the different kinds of learning you're doing, from what you know about how learners learn, from what you know about collegial interactions. There's a whole range of things we'd love teachers to be exploring and developing mental models for. So that's essentially what this book suggests, and just nicely goes through all those reasons of what we should be focusing on: trust, deprivatized practice, dialogue, coherence, differentiation, meaning for teachers, and reclaiming that sense of professionalism. It's a really, really important book, because although you'd think everyone in the world knows this, there are almost no supervision or evaluation, what should be just called professional growth programs for teachers, that actually follow those principles. Somehow people find it hard to let go of the fact that if they haven't got a clipboard and a tick list, then maybe they're not doing a good job supervising staff. And the answer is throw away the tick list, because it's not very helpful, and concentrate on coaching and building capacity and shared understanding about teaching and learning in your staff. And yet that seems a brave thing to do, and I'm not sure why people feel that's a brave thing to do. It's actually brave to continue doing something that's clearly wrong. Like, I'd say that was quite risky, but apparently not. So that's kind of thought for the day, really, is just how important it is to build those things that we know that are so important for learning, which is, autonomy, mastery, purpose, or self-directedness, or however you want to phrase it, depending on what you've been reading. That's really what we need to build in teachers. And if you need a good book to read in order to help you make sense of that, then I very strongly recommend reading this book. It's a great book. It won't take you long to read, but it's powerful and it's well researched, and I think its arguments are absolutely compelling.